Hi, this is Keena Kim here with Lynn Mestel, President of HIRECounsel at the 12th Annual Thomson Reuters eDiscovery and Records Retention Conference here in San Francisco. Lynn's going to share her thoughts on whether the entity that is hosting the review should also be supervising the review.
Thank you, and thank you for asking me this question. I think what we believe as the providers of the contract attorneys who are going to do the review, what we believe as the people who do review management, that it's very important that there is an independent set of eyes and ears always on site to see how the hosting, is coming along. A large part of the costs of these eDiscovery is when the hosting doesn't function well. And it doesn't function well on a couple of, really sort of three sections of it. The first section of it is that the data that has been collected, has not been properly put onto the piece of software, so it's not coming up in a timely manner.
Right.
And we can have a lot of people sitting around waiting for nothing. And that is a big, big problem. You wind up paying people to sit around to do nothing, or you ask people to leave because you don't want to be paying them for that time, and then you really do run a tremendous risk of people taking other jobs, depending upon the size of the gap. The second aspect of when it happens is the stuff, if you will, the actual software itself is going down. And now that happens oftentimes because the server that these eDiscovery companies are using, cannot handle all of the reviews that it is hosting at one time.
Right.
And it's a very interesting thing. We're the largest privately held national provider of temporary legal staffing, temporary contract attorneys, paralegals, coders, lit support, as well as providing eDiscovery review management. And what happens is when you do this nationwide, we find it very fascinating that there's actually a time in the day when a lot of these eDiscovery softwares these eDiscovery companies start to really slow down. It's not in the morning in New York, and it's not at late at night on the West Coast. It's that middle time of the day when the West Coast is really coming in and bringing this stuff up. New York is already well into it.
And they're
and then
overlapping.
as that West Coast, so there's that moment in time when it all sort of comes together, and that's when the systems significantly slow down. And you have to have a set of eyes and ears at the site to be able to report to the client, the paying client, what is going on.
Of course.
And that's where we think, as part of what we're supposed to be doing, as part of our review management, is to be reporting in as to the flow of this information.
Right.
And then finally, all these document reviews, we always want to stay on a budget. So that's the big thing, stay on budget, stay on budget. Well, really, how do you stay on budget? The projection of the time and the length of a review is usually done at the beginning, and it's done based upon the diagnostics that the software companies come up with, basically how many pages a reviewer can go through, either on an hourly basis, whatever it's going to be, a daily basis. In order to make sure that the reviews are working well, it's incumbent upon the clients, if you will, who are paying for this software, to share with the companies like ourselves the daily diagnostics of how fast the reviewers are going through this. So a couple of things happen. The first is, by doing that, it enforces that the law firms, the supervision of this stuff, the substantive supervision, is being QC'd on a timely basis. And the second part is then we can work with the outside counsel, the counsel who are supervising this, to see if somebody is too fast or too slow, either to, eliminate people who aren't doing the review properly on a timely basis. But what's more the case is that the original diagnostics seem to be off. That, there's a lot of new softwares out there. There are these linear softwares which are page by page by page, but there are also these softwares that, you can get clusters, if you will, done. And clusters, yes, it's putting things into files, so technically if you're putting every single thing into a file that looks like it's privileged, you should be able to go through it quicker. But nonetheless, it still has to be looked at. And so when the original diagnostics are done up on how fast reviewers can get through this, it's really incumbent upon everybody, all the parties, okay, to be checking the work to make sure that the original assumptions that were given, okay, in fact are holding true. And if they're not holding true, then we make recommendations on adding staff, adding additional staff, hopefully not going into overtime, but more just bringing on more people on regular time and getting through the review in the time frame that it has to be done. So again, I think it's really important that everybody is there, okay, acting as eyes and ears, all for the benefit of the client, to make sure that the reviews are being done on a proper basis, that the information is coming in a timely way, that the reviewers themselves are going through it in a timely way, that the QC is being done methodically, so that at the end of the day, everybody gets a review that's on budget with the highest quality results. Thanks, and that was a lot to say.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, Lynn.